Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And welcome to Everyday Lusaka.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy that at least the weather has been forgiving today. No one had to brave the rains. Today we will be discussing Everyday Lusaka Gallery's debut at the 154 Contemporary African Art Fair in London. So now this is not just a monumental achievement for a gallery which is only 2 years old, but then I think it's also groundbreaking for Zambia in itself, because this is the first time. And 154, for those of you who might not know, is it's one of the largest global platforms for contemporary art. It's somewhere where you want to be seen. It was founded, of course, in 2013 by Turia El Glaoui, but it's the first, in fact, and only international fair dedicated to contemporary African art, with 3 editions per year. There's London, there's New York, there's Marrakesh. So it's the leading global art fair committed to providing visibility to contemporary African art and also its diasporas. So there is a major difference. You've obviously heard of Art Basel, heard of the Venice Biennale. You know. Those are major global platforms, but 154 is specifically focused on contemporary African art. So I would like to ask Sana, Alick Phiri, and Mulenga. I'll introduce them shortly, but then I'll read their bios. I would like them to share. I have several questions for them, but then I would like the audience to help me. In case there's a question that I forgot to ask, I'm sure all of you want to know, how was this achievable? What does it mean for the gallery? What does it mean for us as an art community? What does it mean for Zambia? And what does it mean? Is there anyone from the National Arts Council? Okay, so let me go straight into the biographies first. I will start with Alick Phiri, Uncle Alick, as we fondly call him, whom he just told me a few minutes ago, before I get into his biography, that he has 17 grandchildren. Imagine that. Imagine that. So Alick Phiri was born in 1948. He's a Zambian photographer. In 1965, at the tender age of 17, under the tutelage of Mr. Vilas at Lusaka's photo art studio, which is just down the road this way, on Cairo Road. He was trained in photography and film development. And then in 1983, he launched his own studio, Kwacha Photo Studio, right in the heart of Kanyama. Which I think in 1983, you must agree that it was no small feat, because, there's Kanyama, it's a very high density area there. You go and put a photo studio. There were already just a handful in the city itself, but he went and put one right bang in the middle of, in the marketplace actually, And he's one of the few surviving professionally trained black Zambian photographers. And he's been practicing, of course, since the 1960s through the 90s, and in a profession that was barely accessible to most Zambians at the time. So what he would do, he photograph people in their homes, families, and, so they're very intimate, very personal. And you will see, I don't know whether you have had a look at the book, his book, which is there, you must have a look at it. So during this period, his life was consumed by photography, working between photo art studios 5 days a week, which is a full-time job, and all weekend for Kwacha Photo Studio, his own studio. So this unorthodox career enabled all 10 of his children to access tertiary education. 10 children. He retired in the early 2000s, which I don't agree, because I don't think a photographer will actually retire, but he'll tell us about that. So having not exhibited his photographs, so his time is fulfilled in his role as a grandfather, nurturing his family relations, and through the rediscovery and long overdue recognition of his work, Alick Phiri has been published in Lusaka Street, Zambia's first photo book of archival photographs, authored by Sana Ginwalla, which is shortlisted for the 2025 Aperture First Photo Book Award. Alick has also featured on the Times of India Wallpaper Magazine, Stir World, and Nkwazi Magazine 2025. Internationally, he has exhibited at the Bamako Biennale in 2024, India Art Fair 2025, and Stranger House Gallery Mumbai 2025. In Zambia and the continent, he was part of the inaugural Zambia Photography Festival called Bakashimika 2025, where he exhibited alongside South African photographer William Matlatha in I'll Be Your Mirror at Everyday Lusaka Gallery, right here. So, it will soon be showing, if I'm not mistaken, in Johannesburg. Oh, in Cape Town, sorry. Not John, in Soweto.
Oh, he did show in Soweto. But
He showed in Soweto,
yes.
right? Okay. So you'll be showing in Cape Town.
Yes,
Okay.
at the art fair.
At the art fair. Okay, you'll tell us about that later. So his photographs are a rare, I think I mentioned this, a rare insight into the everyday experience of people in the city. It bears witness to Lusaka's past and is a testament to the relevance of the photographic medium within Zambia's geographical, historical, and social context, ensuring a reputable showcase of his archive, and perhaps more pertinent now than ever. That's Alick Phiri. May you put your hands together for him. Next up is, I call him Mainga for short, but he's Maingaila Movundika. A photographer, obviously, some of you might know. He's always here at Everyday Lusaka. So Mainga is a Lusaka-based conceptual artist, not just a photographer. So, but he uses photography, as it's like a digital collage, right? He will be talking to us about that. And he's also a printmaker. And he explores human interactions within Zambia's diverse syncretic society. His work subverts traditional portrayals of being, offering layered imaginative narratives that challenge conventional notions of identity, truth, and societal roles. His commercial portraiture work has earned him numerous grants, partnerships, and placements, which might mean he has a lot of money. But yeah, in 2021, he was selected for the Canva Represents Fund, designed to seek out, support, and champion talented artists from underrepresented communities around the world. His work has been featured on leading photography platforms, including Tender Photo, Photo Vogue, and ID. In 2024, he was the recipient of Grantsy by Stokes. The aim of Grantsy is obviously to help contributors with the production of work focusing on content themes outlined in their clients' wish lists. He has exhibited locally and internationally, some of which include Two Lizards Sharing One Stomach at Embassy, Hamburg. That was 2023. Material Turn, Strangers House Gallery, Mumbai, inaugural Zamstock Photography, Extreme Photography to Inspire 2024, the Panorama Beyond Color Line at the India Art Fair, Through Southern Eyes Narratives in Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates, and of course the inaugural Bakashimika Photo Festival, which was last year in collaboration with Open Window University. Maïnga has been an artist in residence at Modzi, where he presented his debut solo print exhibition, Unbecoming. That was in 2024. In the same year, he also participated in Re-Entangling the Visual Archive, a collaboration between the Cambridge University Libraries, Anglia Ruskin University, and Zambia Belonging, funded by the University of Cambridge, which sought to address inequalities of access to archives and encourage confident, innovative, and creative engagements, with challenging connections. So he's an alumnus of Unpublished Africa's Creative Business Studio, 2024. And he first exhibited the Unpublished Africa in 2022, I believe it was, as part of Narratives Unpublished in Harare. And later, City Life Resilience, Harare as well, 2023. And he's also, you would describe him as an emerging artist, but then I think that doesn't help, because it kind of boxes, artists in, because he's, to some he might be an emerging artist, but then he's also involved in a lot of mentorship with younger photographers, and obviously printmakers, and he's done several workshops. In here, some of you might have experienced some of them. And finally, let me introduce Sana. Sana Ginwalla, whom you're laughing. Okay, I'll stick to the script. She's an Indian-Zambian artist, curator, writer, lecturer, born and raised and based in Lusaka, Zambia. She is the founder of the Everyday Lusaka Gallery and the Zambia Belonging Counter Archive. Please underline Counter Archive, because we need to hear what is that. I'm quite curious. I want to learn. What is a counter archive? I know of an archive, of course, but then a counter archive, Sana has to tell me. So the Zambia Belonging Counter Archive, curatorial and artistic outputs dedicated to shifting towards a more considered visual representation of Zambia's past and present, to build a contemporary archive for future generations. her work with these platforms has been presented at the 154, which is one of the reasons why we're here. Contemporary Art Fair in London, 2025. India Art Fair, Cambridge University, where she was in residence. Bamako African Photography Biennale. Stranger House Gallery in Mumbai. University of Oxford. So Sana has independently curated exhibitions at the Zambian Pavilion for the inaugural SADC Biennale at the Association for Visual Arts in Cape Town. Lechwe Gallery as well, Mozi, the Zamrock Museum, Alliance Française, and of course the Lusaka National Museum. Okay, that's fine. So those are the biographies. I know it's been a mouthful, but then I just had to do it because I'm not introducing myself. So I'd rather introduce my panelists, if I can call them that. So how this is going to work is that Sana does have a few slides which she'll be talking us through them, and then I'll be asking some questions, and at the end of it all I will invite questions from the audience like I said earlier.
Sure.
So
Alushi, could you just go to the next slide?
yeah.
So thank you so much, Dr. Mulenga, for that generous, unabridged version of our biography. He needs no introduction, but Dr. Mulenga is also my boss at Open Window University. He's an art historian, award-winning art historian, and we're very, very privileged to have him here today. And thank you all for being here. So just to sort of answer briefly Dr. Mulenga's question about how we went to 154, and this was Mr. Miko's idea, by the way, to have this talk, so thank you, Mr. Miko, for being here. But basically the idea with the 154 fair was that, to be very honest, it felt like a far-fetched, in a couple of years type of goal, mostly because of how much it costs to have a booth. So it wasn't on my radar officially for 2025, but what happened was that because we attended the India Art Fair in 2025, February last year, our conversation opened up to the world, which meant that the India Art Fair wanted to open up the conversation about India's relationship to Africa, which put us in a very interesting position because we are a gallery in Africa, in Zambia, run by somebody who is Indian. So our invitation to the art fair was through Strangers House Gallery. So they were the official invitees, and we were an invitation of an invitation at the art fair. And so the conversation was already starting with the art fair that they wanted to start opening up this Indian Ocean migration story, because there's a huge history of Indians and Africa traveling across this ocean. And so Strangers House Gallery was already in conversation with the 154 founders, and they wrote to me to say, could you send us some examples of the work you're dealing with or you're talking about in your practice as Sana? Because I run the gallery, I'm a curator, but some of you might have seen the work at Lechwe Trust Gallery. I'm talking about Indians in the empire overseas. So I'm talking about this migration to understand my sense of belonging as well. So that's my personal practice. So basically, before the applications opened, I was in conversation with the 154 special projects and director, Camille, about my work. And I was like, okay, maybe it will just be on file. They're just asking. And then when the application portal opened, I was informed via email, which I didn't know until they emailed me, to say that you are now, the portal is open, you are now welcome to apply. But I was like, how am I going to afford this? Of course I want to apply, but then I learned that you can apply as a special project. So Strangers House Gallery was already going to be there as a special project. And so I was told just apply as a special project as well, because that's the way that it's going to work. Because India Art Fair and 154 have started their collaboration as of 2025. So in Morocco, the 2026 edition now in February, Strangers House will also have a special project booth. So all that to say is that that's how the context, before like just getting on the website, that's the context and the conversation that happened. So because the conversation had to kind of connect India and Africa, I thought of positioning the work of Alick. So as Dr. Mulenga mentioned, Alick was trained by a gentleman called Mr. Vilas. Mr. Vilas was an Indian photographer who ran a studio called Photo Art Studios, but actually he was the founder of Fine Art Studios as well, which is still existing today on Cha-Cha-Cha Road. And a lot of the images you're seeing here on the wall are found from Fine Art Studios, but Alick was positioned in the application as the main exhibitor to talk about this idea of how a lot of Indians on the continent were here to offer a special type of technology or service. So it would be photography in Kenya. A lot of Indians are running the printers. So I was really interested in this sort of trade that Indians found themselves in, especially in Zambia. So that's the context as to how I positioned the conversation, so that Alick can be the main exhibitor, because his archive is so important, at least for me, and I think for Zambia. Yeah.
Sana, you know, you've answered my question, because I was curious. Everyday Lusaka has been in operation for what? Only 2 years, right?
Yes, as a gallery. Yeah.
And you've had a total of how many exhibitions?
11.
11.
In 21 or 22 months.
We had 11 exhibitions in this space, but we had an additional 7 international.
Okay. So, because I was curious to understand how you arrived at Alick's work, and you know, of course, I suppose that's where the book stems from. Yeah. But then you have answered my question, so yeah. We move on to the next.
Yeah, sure.
And by the way, this is the publication, the catalog for the fair. And it gives you an idea of, you know, the scale of the exhibition itself, how monumental it is, because it's global. So I just thought I should have this with me as I'm talking. So please go ahead.
Yeah, so part of today is, you know, just to also share a lot of it is going to be about logistics, like what it really took for us to have a successful application, to be chosen as a special project at the London Fair. So in the application, they gave us a booth plan. They gave us our designated space that we're going to be in. And it happened to be that in June, I had to be in the UK for a symposium at Oxford that I was presenting at. And I just was still in touch with the 154 people. And I said, oh, I'm in London. And they said, why don't you actually come and see the space physically? So thankfully, I had the privilege of being in the space before October to actually get a real sense of what's happening. So it's in this building called Somerset House. It's humongous. That's where the fair has been happening for years in London. It's the biggest fair out of the 3. And we had actually a very wonderful space for a special project, which, you know, so all that to say, the special project you don't have to pay. So that's why I was very happy to be there, because the regular booth fees are out of my budget. So considering that it was a booth that you don't have to pay for, it was a very good one, because it was at the end of a corridor. If you see the yellow part there, West Wing, it's at the top. So it was at a curve. So it's a bit of a strange space. And also Somerset House is a listed building. So in the UK, there's a lot of buildings that, you know, you can't knock down. You have to preserve the original walls. You can't hammer into them for historical purposes. So Somerset House is one of those places. So there was a lot of rules, which is why I opened a gallery, because I don't like rules. I want to have my own rules. But I had to kind of get a sense of what was possible. So I could ask all my questions, and I had the physical booth plan to then think about how am I going to curate this booth for the purpose of the conceptual note, which I briefly shared about. And there was a huge installation guideline document as well. Yeah.
How many works did you have on display, Sam?
Over 40. Actually, for sale, well, not really for sale, but yeah, over 40. It almost looked like this space, but smaller. So this is what we had, just to give you an idea of what we saw and how we worked on it. I was sitting on my laptop trying to figure out a way to do it, you know, and this is what I sent off to them, and it was what was accepted. So you can see some of the work that was there in here today. So some of our Alick's self-portraits behind there, but a whole wall full of them. The opposite side was the Kanyama Kwacha photo studio portraits, which are in the Lusaka Street book. Nkoloso was there, but it was really like a big archive room.
Did you have anything, was anything like on a loop, or was
Yes, there was an audio. Yeah, there was an audio piece which I worked on with Misha Maseka, who's a Zambian Canadian sound designer, filmmaker, and we made this she made this really beautiful sound piece under my directorship, which included interviews that I've done with Alick since 2019 till 2025, and like 2 interviews I managed to do with Mr. Vilas before he passed away. And instead of it just being like, hi, you know, just like audio on a loop, I got a Zambian Indian tabla player to create a sound that reflected the India-Zambia connection. So I just gave him the audio and I said, make sense of this, but do it on the tabla. I needed to be on the tabla. And he was in Canada, he recorded something. And then Misha got her Indian friend Harismita, who she studied with at the Royal College of Arts, to like vocalize. So she was vocalizing in Misha's room under a blanket. It was really wonderful. And then we made this really beautiful sound, which I can play for us later as well. Just wonderful sound. And that was a sound piece that I put on headphones in the space, so that even though Mr. Vilas is now deceased and Alick wasn't able to travel because of passport issues, we could still hear from them and hear the story of this migration. So yeah, these are just some of the things we had to work on as well. So with fairs, the main thing that I think I thankfully haven't had the issue with is transportation of work. Because when I went to England in June, as I mentioned, where I did the site visit, I just took the work with me. Whether I knew we were gonna be there or not, I just took majority of the prints, like these, with me. And I asked Alick to sign them already. So a lot of it was paper-based work, which could just sit in my bag, and they were not framed until 2 days before the fair with the Vilas family, who happened to have a gallery in London, well, in Letchworth.
Okay, so the framing was done?
Yes, so they very kindly, in a day, framed like 9 pieces for us, just in kind, which was really, really kind of them.
How does this work, Sana? When I'm in transit?
Yeah.
I just pop them in my bag and that's it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big risk. And some countries are a bit, you know, you have to sort of declare that these are things that are on sale, things like that. But because you're a special project at 154, you technically can't make sales. That's the trade-off.
So you're telling me there was no sales made the whole duration of the...
Not through the fair, but sales were made of the book at the bookshop.
In the fair?
In the fair. That was through the fair, because it's kind of like separate from the main exhibitors. So the work was basically in my bag, and
smuggling, obviously.
Basically.
So, Manga, let me hear from you as well. The run-up to getting to London. I know you did lots of back office work and so on. Just share with us.
We're on the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
So a lot of the behind the scenes for this was getting the marketing right. Obviously, we're not in our native space, so we don't have our native audience. And so it was about creating awareness about what the exhibition is going to be about. So we had to work with Natalie, who is unfortunately not here, but we had to create a lot of online material to share around, press releases. In the end, we ended up having a publication which you'll be able to see on the table, inventories, photographs of the artists. So there was a lot of boring stuff that has to be put together before we can get on the plane to London.
Uncle Alick, what does this mean to you now?
Well, anyway, Sana is doing a lot for me. Thank you for doing this. I didn't know that she was going to do.
So there was no expectation from you that one day your book will be published and also exhibited, I believe, in London.
Yes, yeah, that is, well, I didn't have that chance first, but she did the work. And then afterwards,
Sorry, but Alick, could you speak up? People can't hear you.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can just speak up. It's
Okay,
yeah.
right, okay, right. So she did the work. Then after doing it, she told me that no, things are going well. Then I thanked her that, well, you're doing well. I didn't know that. And some of the pictures which I have were just kept at home. I didn't think of giving me money for the pictures. But she managed, she did everything. And I'd like to thank her very much that.
But then tell me, some of the photographers whom you have mentored over the years,
Yeah.
have they come across the book? Are they aware of what are their thoughts about it?
Yeah, most of them are not aware, and some of them are, they are no longer living. So, yes. So that's that.
So I'll throw it back to Sana.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Michael spoke of the marketing, I think.
yeah,
So
maybe you can
perhaps
talk more about some of the letters we had to get ready. I mean, yeah.
Who's doing the slides?
Ali. Yeah, you can just go to the next one. Yeah.
I think I'll speak on the letters just quickly.
Okay.
Because this was a big deal not only for the gallery but for Zambia, we're really interested in engaging with institutional bodies, governmental bodies like NAC, for example, right? Because that this is their domain. The arts is their domain. And so we need to let them know that Zambia, like everyday Lusaka, is working and showing Zambia on the international stage. And then that then led to the High Commission in London also then being involved and coming to see the show, because now they know that Zambia is working within that space. It's not every day that we have Zambian galleries showing Zambian artists specifically on the international stage like that, and so we have to not only inform them, but it also allows for there to be further support in future if we say we are coming for the next edition.
Mango, was there any support in this instance, or
Not in this instance, but this is we're hoping in coming ones there is support. But now they've been able to see what we talk about when we speak with them about the type of support that a gallery, specifically an artist, would need to be in fairs internationally.
would you say they understand the importance of a Zambian gallery showcasing on a global platform?
I will say that, I can't speak on behalf of what the entire ministry or National Arts Council.
No, please try.
Right. But I think for us, why I wanted Mulenga to speak about this is because, with NAC and with the ministry, you have to go through formal channels. So we had to sit and write letters, even though NAC is down the road, which is okay. We wrote letters. I wrote to FCDO by email. But in order to reach the High Commission in London, the Zambian High Commission in London, I need to go through the right channels. So these bureaucratic things are, and all this to say is that the reality of it, and very frankly, was that even though NAC was informed, it just so happened that I was in a room with a NAC member who, for a separate meeting, and it was in that conversation that I said, we sent a letter and an email, we're going to 154. And then immediately then is when he sent me the number for the assistant to the High Commissioner.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it was like, even though I've gone through the channels that are meant to go through, it was when I physically was with somebody from
Do
NAC.
we have a cultural attaché that side?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But Ms. Machenje is a very, very committed person from when I met her. So all that to say that it's, I saw it, and I laugh about it with Mulenga and Misha and everybody who's doing stuff for arts. We're all on some sort of national service, for art. So that's how I felt. I felt like I was in some informal art national service going there, but without, to be honest, much support from the government directly, right? So that's something that I think we need to work towards, but it's evident that we as individuals are capable of making these things happen. But the attendance of the High Commissioner was due to Mr. Chipindi's reference to somebody called Doris. So that was on the preparation in terms of inviting people. So even because I studied in the UK, I worked a little bit, with the Cambridge projects. So I got to know a lot about the Zambian diaspora there. And so I sat every day up until the opening of the fair just writing to people that I have free tickets, please come. Because VIP members, if you're exhibitor, you're basically a VIP member. You get a number of tickets that you can invite people to. So that was my way of letting people know we are here. It felt like having like a small microphone,
So the Zambian community in London?
Yes, Zambian community in London, art and photography people I knew from undergrad, just anybody I knew with a connection to Zambia in the UK, including your sister. Right, I invited and I
Nepotism.
said, yes, exactly. So these are some things that I had to sort of do in terms of going to my network and seeing who will appreciate our presence here, along with the VIP members and institutions that were already invited at the fair. I'll move on quickly to installation. The admin of being there, I was very stressed out. I was prepared, but I wasn't prepared for the time crunch that I was going to find myself in, with the number of hours you have before the fair to install. And what I didn't factor in is the distance from where I was staying to Somerset House. Taking the tube, I got friends to buy a stool for me beforehand because I needed a stool in the space. I love the stool.
Because you obviously had to be there, like physically.
Yes.
From the opening until they closed every day.
So I was there just a few days before the fair, and I left right after the fair. And I stayed with a friend. That's how I saved money. My flights, thankfully, because I won the Prince Claus Award, that allowed me a bit of a buffer space financially for the gallery. Can you go to the next one? And then, it came together eventually. After working with people who, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about technical assistance per se. I didn't know who to call. But it all worked out because I have a very helpful network in the UK, surprisingly. So this is how it came together in the end. It was a really nice, intimate space, a bit narrower than the gallery, and maybe ends here in an arch. One side is just by Alick's self-portraits, as you can see. On the other side was his Kanyama portraits, which, as I said, you can see in the Lusaka Street book. The next one.
And so tell me, how would you describe the reactions or interaction from the visitors with the work?
A lot of people thought that Alick was one of the West African photographers that many people are used to seeing, right? So Seydou Keita, who I just had written a text for the Brooklyn Museum. So I was familiar with these photographers' works. So I knew why they saw, but it kind of, for me, was an indicator of how little people know about Southern Africa and how we don't really see this type of work coming out of this region. Whereas Seydou Keita, Malik Sidibe, James Barner, these are all photographers who exist in the in the sort of minds when we think of black and white archival photography. But Alick, I find just really unique because of the specific context that we were making photography in Zambia. So the reaction was that they were like, "Oh, I thought this was so and so," but they came to know that it was Zambia, and they were like, "Oh, Zambia." So there were some people who came directly to the booth, people I didn't invite because it was Zambia. Some who came directly because it was photography and archive, and some because of the audio. And it actually was always packed. Even like Sarah, the lady who is the special projects manager, she was like, every time I wanted to come check in with you, you were just inundated with people. So that might have been because of where we were on the map, because it's like the end of a corridor, so people just cluster, but also because people were directed to our space. Like at least 5 or 6 people out of the thousands that came through were like, somebody told me I have to come see this. Because you have to remember that the fair had over, I think, 100 booths. So it's very overwhelming. If you just have a couple of hours to look at art, it's overwhelming to know what should I see. You might not have time to do everything because it's 2 floors across 3 buildings. So you can imagine, like, it's overwhelming. But a lot of people came specifically to that space because also the way we exhibited was very informal, just like you're seeing it here. It's not trying to be white cube. It's just how you find the archive in your parents' house, in a mess, but very beautiful.
Sana, I think, can you just run over that just once more?
Yeah.
On how there seemed to be familiarity with Alick's work and the West African, the Senegalese, those who've got like kind of a track record, so to speak. Because why I ask this is, does therefore Alick's work speak to this? Is that the counter archive in your notion?
Yeah. So for me, well, the counter archive for me is the type of work you won't find in state archives. It's a way of exhibiting the archive in a way that...
Okay, so it's the state archives, not the known...
No, it's like the colonial archive. It's the origins of the archive.
Okay.
Why were people photographing the other the way they were photographing them? And how did Alick's work counter that? Because he was the one producing the information, not the oppressor, So for me, those are the things that this entire collection represents, is placing a value on your own personal archives from home and images that kind of completely disrupt the idea of what Lusaka, Africa, Indianness, Zambianness, belonging looks like. Yeah. So as I mentioned, just some tours that happened. So Ms. Machenje, who is the High Commissioner of Zambia to the UK, managed to come through our connection with NAC, and Mad Badoris, who is a friend of Achipindi.
That's her in the Chitenge there?
Yes, so she was very kind to come and make time. She spent a considerable amount of time there, was very impressed, really touched and moved by the work. There were also other tours that were organized by the fair, specifically like with the Yale Macmillan Center and I think VNA. And then this was really quite special as well, the tour with the Vilas family. As I mentioned, Mr. Vilas used to live in India. His family migrated to London, and his wife, he was survived by his wife, and she heard the audio that I mentioned earlier with the interview of him and Alick, and when she heard him speak, she kind of thought that she was speaking to him. because her memory is not very good. And you know, she was like, oh, when are you coming back? And it was a very touching moment, and 10 days after this, actually, she passed away. So a lot of, you know, this exhibition was not just about like a CV, you know, a win. It's a very personal project for me because of my relationship with Mr. Vilas and the friendship I built with him and Alick, and even just how, actually I met Mr. Vilas because of Alick, right? So there's a whole story there. But there was something a bit more metaphysical that I found very important about the fair, because, yeah, his daughter really felt that there was a closure from hearing that audio. Another thing, as I mentioned about the sales, is that actually the book ended up being the best-selling title at the fair. So I was asked to only bring 3 copies, but I had a whole box at Misha's house. And she's like, yeah, bring 3 copies. And I was like, okay. I brought 3, but they all sold in the first half of the first day of the fair.
So, but
And
Sana,
then,
what
yeah.
does that entail? Is it just a worthy mention, or does it come with something? And also, tell us about the. I imagine there were some immense, networking opportunities there as well.
Yes, certainly. I mean, I think for something like the book, it was like a way for people to take Zambia home with them and take the exhibition home with them. It was also a way for us to make a bit of money from the fair. So I think almost 30 or 40 copies sold. Yeah.
How much per pop?
£30, you know, and they took a commission, but it was a way for us to sort of really like.
Did it cover your printing costs, because the quality looks good? Did
No,
the £30 do it?
So this was a book made possible through funding. So I wasn't fronting the cost of funding.
Or was that the Prince Claus?
No, this was a different fund called Unfund, and our publisher managed all of that aspect of printing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't really feel that it was kind of buffered?
No, yeah, it was.
Because I was
fine.
looking at the quality of that book,
Yeah.
and then when I hear the £30,
Yeah.
then it didn't tally.
Oh.
So yeah.
Okay. Next. So you mentioned about outcomes, so that's why I wanted to move
great.
next to this.
Sorry, I jumped to the gun, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. We're here already. I mean, so this is kind of also why we're here, to talk about what really did I come back with. Came back with a best-selling title at the fair, which was really special. I wasn't expecting that. But also, as you mentioned in the beginning, the first gallery from Zambia to show at 154, possibly, and I stand to be corrected, but I spoke to Sarah, the special project manager, possibly in the history of 154 for Zambia to be present. And you know, this is, as Dr. Mulenga mentioned, is like, it's only because Zambia is sort of very obscured, not just in Africa, but in the SADC. Our hub in Southern Africa is South Africa. So Joburg galleries were there, Cape Town galleries were there, and it's like a given.
Sana, I always argue that Zambia is in a state of constant discovery.
Yeah.
Constant state of discovery.
Yeah.
Every time someone says, wow, okay, I never knew.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it was a way to sort of be like, we've always been here. We've been working. Alick has been working. And it wasn't, for me, I didn't see it as a form of necessarily validation, because I think by opening
But then
a gallery...
why not? Why not?
Because I think
Do we not seek validation at some point?
I think working in Lusaka, I think the biggest validation I received was from opening the gallery here. For me, that is what then gives you the springboard to then be relevant elsewhere. So being at the 154, yes, it wasn't about the gallery. For me, it was again national service, even though my passport is Indian. But also it was our first solo institutional booth at a fair. So India Art Fair, we were like with Strangers House. Cape Town Art Fair will be in a group. This was our first solo booth. Like, we have the space, it's just for us, our name is there, and it's just us. That was one of the outcomes or the highlights. Also, Alick's first exhibition in the UK after being in Zambia, Mali, India, and soon South Africa. The contacts we made, this is what you were asking me. The photographers gallery came, so the new director, Taus, she was there, emailed me to say, I'm interested to come see you, what time can I be at your booth? So we met, and now the book is stocked at the bookshop, which is really exciting. BBC Africa wrote to us. Photo London is also in touch with us.
The art newspaper as well.
Yeah, so we had a press feature. So right at the VIP night, press people were there to see like what's worth writing about. So art newspaper, African column, all of those wrote not just about us, but we featured in their articles. Ms. Machenje invited us to curate the Independence event at her residence or at the High Commission. I wasn't able to be there physically, but Misha and I co-curated it, and she put up a wonderful production. But Alick's work was there at the High Commission in Zambia. British Journal of Photography as well invited us to be part of their magazine because they loved Alick's work. And then also contacts for a long-term film project. So Misha, who I mentioned.
I wanted to hear more about that.
Yeah, so Misha I think one of the main things was it was really great to have somebody at 154 who's based in London, who can kind of follow up on conversations when I'm not physically there.
So what kind of film project is this? Is it a documentary or? So
there's several works I'm working on with Misha. There is going to be a documentary, but the one that I'm working on with her is...
on what specifically, Sam?
It's a fiction feature film based in 1970 Zambia against the backdrop of Zamrock. It's not about Zamrock, it's actually about three sisters and grief and a diasporic story as well. But it's in the 70s and there is a backdrop of Zamrock because she falls in love with a Zamrocker, but it's about her relationship with her sister and her mother, and it's a period piece, basically. So I'm on the project as co-producer and research consultant, and Misha is working on it, from London.
How much work has been done so far?
We have filmed quite a few Zamrockers that we had contact with in Lusaka from the gallery. We've done location scouting, and we're working on a short documentary from that material. We went to Pongozi's old house in Kawata. Where else did we go? Into Kawata Market. We did a lot of filming and speaking with elders who were already, active in the 70s to understand what life was like then.
Did you manage to see there was he owned a pub which was called Chibe Paka Paka? No.
You are in touch with her. You need to. Yeah. So Misha's got, we've got these projects going, so she's probably going for the Oscars week because somebody at 154 met her. There's all of these sort of off things that we're doing that 154 helped us to meet people with. And then what we did is that I brought other work.
Okay.
In like a folder.
I wanted to hear about this because Kalinosi, I think even some of mine as well. Who else?
Lawrence.
Chikwa.
Yeah. I have everyone's work kind of in a file, especially if they can fit in like an A4 folder. I travel with it like a traveling salesperson. So I brought it with me just to sort of maybe let people know what we're doing.
So you had these in the space as well?
Not in my space, at the Stranger's House gallery space.
Oh, okay.
Because they had more opportunity and they had the capacity to be sales people. And so they managed to make some sales on our behalf of all three artists' works because people were looking to get something, and so those were off sales, meaning like they were not part of the catalog of our actual exhibition, even though I did pitch Bakalinosi and Bachikwa's work for the corridor of Somerset House, but it wasn't accepted. But I still made a plan. So these were some of the outcomes. I mean, I feel like there probably are more that I didn't know about because I was just one person and there were so many people. And there was Abdi who helped us out and Misha who were there every day at the fair. So there was a lot of activity and contact, but I wasn't in contact with everyone who walked in, if that makes sense, because it was so busy. And then I think this is the last slide on my end, and then maybe this questions. I'm still learning from this experience. People are curious about what Zambia has to offer. Maybe because we're in constant state of discovery, and people are like, but I think they were very pleasantly surprised to see that, because Botswana wasn't there either, neither was Namibia. Like our neighboring countries were not also there really. It was Zimbabwe, Zambia this year, and South Africa.
But we usually laud them for, more structured and more organized art scenes. I think Botswana seems to be.
Yeah.
Namibia.
No, there wasn't a Botswana or Namibian gallery. I don't know if there has been before, but it's like people were happy to see that something was coming from Zambia. Photography in the fair was rare. There was another gallery called David Hill that had some beautiful work from, I want to say, Malik Sidibe. And he came to see because somebody said there's another archive show for you to see. So there was this rarity which gave us a novelty and made people come back and forth between David Hill and our space. Stay closer to the venue if possible. I was tired every morning, every evening, but it was also a way to save money. I was staying with a friend, so.
So now, Sana, given another opportunity, you've explained anyway how we got here, but then given another opportunity to be in 154, what kind of work do you think you'd be taking there? Or does it depend on?
I think for me, that's a good question. I would really look at, firstly, is it a special project or is it a selling project? Special projects, for me, I would really do things that my heart loves, which is the mixed media photography, collage, printmaking, interventions in the archive type of work. And I'll see if that's possible to do in a sales sort of context. I'm interested in positioning like younger artists with senior artists. So I would also think of a booth that looks at a pair of photographers or pair of artists who are working like painting, pairing them with a senior artist and looking at the conversation. And looking at the type of work that would really, I think, be unique to the Zambian conversation and a critical work, So I have an idea of what I would do, but yeah,
that would be in the special project, right?
Special project,
but what if you
also
want all-out commercial?
All-out commercial, I would do this younger artist, visual artist, with a senior artist who's working conceptually and critically and kind of really disrupting the Zambian art scene already, right? I think that's kind of how I would think of it, because I think there's something interesting about positioning a younger artist in conversation with a senior artist in Zambia, because I think there might be a bit of a gap there, and I think I would like to sort of see what work could be even commissioned specifically for the fair. But photography is at the heart of the gallery and what I do, but that doesn't mean I'm not interested in other types of work. Yeah, I mean, the other outcomes are just admin things. Put aside money for people to assist you with install, to actually be physically present at the fair. It's very tiring. Eating, going to the restroom, taking a breather. Somebody needs to man the space and be able to talk about it. Carry extra business cards and books. The books just kept on running out each day, and I should have just come with a whole box and been very cocky about it. Follow up. People will email. I've been replying to emails like this month, but they emailed me in October. It's a capacity thing. Of course, in an ideal situation, if visas, flights, and all of this wasn't such a heavy load financially, I would have loved to have traveled with more people and have stayed more comfortably in London. But the reality is that we had to make do, and I had the visa already, and I had a place to stay. So it was just a very practical decision, which kind of was a lot for one person, even with a small team to take. But all that to say that it was a good place to be.
Sana, on those emails, does the gallery respond to emails? Someone told me that responding to emails is a sign of weakness. So
yeah, I respond. I hope I have responded to anybody who's emailed. I try my best. Yeah.
So who would be emailing you? Emerging artists who want to exhibit at Everyday Lusaka?
Outside of the fair?
Yes, outside of the fair.
Oh yeah. Emerging artists, people who are interested in working with the gallery, people who'd like to feature the gallery. Actually, we get a lot of those. Yeah, mostly
So
that.
the gallery is open to that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, yeah, we can't, we don't function, you know, in a very exclusive manner. The exclusivity might feel like that because of the work we're wanting to show. It's very based on long-term relationships we've had with artists, and that's what we had to do for the first 2 years because it's also a very practical decision for me. I know Dowdy's work. I know how to work with Dowdy. Don't know where he is, but that made it easier for me to work with him. Mulenga as well. For me, it's important that if I'm curating the show, I know what the work is about and how it's developed. So.
And maybe let me use that to kind of segue into perhaps just to close before I invite some questions from the audience. Would you be able to share, outside of 154, what's lined up for this year? I mean, is anything exciting we should expect?
Mulenga, do you want to speak on that?
I mean, our program is always in flux. We usually only really know close to it happening, but next month we have Cape Town Art Fair. We'll be part of special projects there as well under Cabinet Record, curated by Beata America.
Which one is Cape Town Art Fair? I get these mixed up. Is it Investec?
Investec is
Yes.
Cape Town. And we'll be showing Kanyama to Cambridge, which is started off as a zine with me responding to Alick self-portraits when we did Reentangling the Visual
Next month,
Archive.
you said? When is it?
Next month.
Next month.
The 19th of February is the opening night. And so the project was me responding to Alick's self-portraits, so some of those over there. You can see the zine, if you look right in the corner, there's a little photo of me, that's the zine. And so we're working with Dream Press.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working with Dream Press to produce the work for the fair. So that's our first.
Yeah. Dream Press is like a risograph printers. And these are risograph zine that we made. So that's what's coming up in February internationally. A few publications and reviews also coming up. In terms of Lusaka-based stuff, what we're looking at doing this year is moving towards more like workshops, public lectures, art talks, things like this. Exhibitions will still be part of our programming, but not as aggressively as the past 2 years. Because I really want to see how the gallery's position and location can also move into a kind of educational space, space of exchange. So that's what I'm looking to do this year. And
Any publications? Should we? Because I know you're quite strong on publishing.
Yes. In terms of publications, I mean, the gallery has its own catalogs that we make per show. So those, I'm hoping to get them printed this year. But in terms of a physical publication, the work I'm working on with Dream Press is to do a second version of Mulenga's work with Alick on self-portraiture.
Okay.
So we're looking at working with her again to produce something like
So
that.
this will culminate into a book similar to...
Yeah, or a zine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this year I'm expecting maybe 2 zines to come out of some collaborations. But as of last year, we worked on already 2 publications, Alick's book being one of the most important. Another was one that I contributed to, as I mentioned, for the Brooklyn Museum, where Alick's work has been mention of. But yeah, that table will have a bunch of examples of work that has been printed, because that's also something that I really enjoy doing, is writing and publishing and designing books. So that's what you can expect from the gallery in 2026. Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to be an exciting year. Yeah. And I think now we can, in case I forgot to ask a few questions, I will invite the audience. Maybe we can have...
I missed the beginning, so you might have answered this. But did one...
Sorry, sir. Name?
Roberto Econ. I'm the curator from London. In that case, I saw the exhibition of
okay, nice. I didn't even meet Robert, but yes, thank you.
So now I've seen it, it was very good.
Thank you.
Now, with 154, are they supporting galleries like you for the first time financially, or is it
No.
Did they actually charge for the space? Or did you get
No, so special projects don't get charged, as I mentioned. So all special projects at 154 don't pay a booth fee.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily based on like how nascent the project is. I think it's just the type of project. But yeah, there was no financial support in that way, but yeah.
Quite a lot.
Yes.
That's quite
Yeah,
a lot.
they gave us.
But at least you didn't have to pay for the space. So that's
Yes.
good to know. I didn't know that.
Yes, exactly. As a special project.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I have a follow-on question for that. So they give you the space. I saw the list. It's a lot of money. Do you have a budget? Do you know how much it costs? Because
Sorry, I
that,
didn't-
then how much will it cost if someone else comes in and applies for one?
For a
Because-
special
for a
project
special
or a
project.
booth.
For a booth? Because I'm thinking this was a success story.
Okay.
What about next year? What about a thought of the older artist and the younger artist and paintings? And what about small sculptures? And what about mixed media? Those artists are in the room.
Yeah.
Some of them quite famous.
Yeah.
So, but then for someone like me who's a major collector, I'm looking at could I work with other people to generate enough money to pay for this?
Yes, you could. So for a
But
special,
how much?
how much? So with London, I probably should have brought the PDFs up. If I'm not mistaken, they started at like 10K pounds.
Okay.
And I think it depends on the size of the booth and where at Somerset House you are.
And you are allowed to sell, right?
Yes, then you're allowed to sell, but the fair has to be informed. I don't know if the fair takes a commission, but all that to say that it is possible. But this is for London. As I mentioned, London is the biggest fair in terms of space and I think visitors. We have Velo Art Studios going to Morocco very soon, which is going to be much more intimate. Their booth fairs might be different, I'm not aware. And then there's a New York one, which I am also unaware of the booth fees. But at least for the UK, if I remember seeing in a document, around 10,000. I wouldn't have known because I was a special project, but I think I came across something. So I stand to be corrected on that.
I just want to add something. That week in London is the Freeze Art Week. So it's a very good timing for 154
Yes.
because the whole artwork is in London. Freeze Art Fair is one of the biggest fairs in the world, same like Art Basel. So you have all the big galleries there.
Yeah.
So that week is completely manic.
Yeah.
But you have everyone around the world coming to London.
Yeah.
And over the years, I've been to 154 from the beginning. At this stage, it's seen as very kind of in line with the other fairs. So I know a lot of big collectors who go to 154. They wouldn't go 10 years ago, but now there's people go to Freeze and they come to 154.
Yeah.
And Freeze opens the day before, I think, and then it's 154. So it's a very important week. It's basically
So these would be happening at the same time?
so basically that week, it is so many exhibitions, events, and the Freeze Art Fair is the biggest fair. in the
Yeah,
world.
so there was a
I think-
parallel,
Yeah.
a parallel fair.
So it's a very.
Yeah.
I'm very glad you got so much attention.
Yes, thank you.
So, just a minute, because it's linked to I think the booths and stuff. Yes. Ngonga, sorry to drag you into this.
My name is Mulenga. I'm curator at Zambia Art Studios, and we will be participating in Marrakesh, representing Zambia, and we're happy that we were selected just after Sana went to London. So is it in regards to the amount?
No, perhaps you can just share when is this happening? Expectations?
So the 154 in Marrakesh starts on February 2nd to February 4th. Sorry, I think it takes place for like 3 days from February.
Who are you showing?
We're showing Alick Phiri.
Oh, only solo.
Yes, so it's a solo show, and we applied for the smallest one.
Okay. What kind of work is he exhibiting? Because is it paintings?
He's exhibiting his usual mixed media paintings where he incorporates charcoal, chitenge material, and something like that.
Care to share the cost of it?
So the difference isn't much. I think when we applied for the smallest space, it was also in the same range of like 9,000 to 10,000 pounds, but it usually accumulates, with the lowest being 9,000 pounds, but it depends, if you delay to pay, then it's accumulates with a certain percentage, and yeah, but I think the highest for the smallest booth could be 10,000 pounds, and then I'm not so sure about the bigger booths.
Yeah.
So Betty, did you get that?
Yeah, but what I'm really wondering about is, if you get the booth 3, it's one thing. Then it's your food, it's your housing, it's your transport, it's your tickets, it's any other artists who are coming in and paying, it's the cost of shipping books. All of that stuff has to be taken into account. Because she's talking about 10,000 for the booth. I'm talking about, what about 40 to 50,000? That you're gonna have to pay for works, bringing the artist, all the rest.
Yeah, the overall cost.
And if you can sit down and look at that, then what happens is that other people in Zambia can then say, this is how much it'll cost to do it. So how are we raising money so we can do it? Can we get the government to kick in a little bit? They'll give me little bit, you know? If they give me $1,000, then, you know, I've got that and the rest, and there are collectors here who have money who would be willing to contribute. So, but to know how much it really costs.
I hear you. I mean, I can come up with a figure for sure, especially for the London context, because of accommodation and transport and all of that.
And then we can ask, you know, I know that 3070 is sent to international exhibitions, and now I know Bello is going to be doing the same. So we can ask them, so how much have you budgeted for this? How much is it going to cost you? What changed in terms of your artists selling more or your circumstances? I know with 3070, they're selling to a lot of international players now. And that's how they attracted them.
Okay, so name and...
my name is Zamba, so thank you very much to Mr. Andrew. I wrote these questions on my script. I think you guys have pioneered the new milestone, so your work is really testament to all Zambians. So how would you encourage and motivate the art industry, photography and digital publishing, to create art of that level and just be around the world?
I think institutions which have a vision of what they actually want to do, I think it makes it easier. I think we, as a gallery, are really interested in photography, archive, printmaking, and I think you see it every time you come for a show. Even when people are contacting us internationally, they know that the Zambian institution that works with archives is Everyday Lusaka. So even when we receive the emails, they're very targeted because they know who we are and what we're doing. So I think for everyone else, they need to niche down into what they actually want to do, because that opens up doors for people to be interested in your work.
Thanks for that question, and for the detail also, detailed response, ma'am.
Hi, this is Lisel talking. But I kind of want to follow up on that and ask, you said you pitched more than what was accepted, and so can you give me, like, I don't know, some conjectures on why you think they chose that particular body of work, especially what you're saying about it being photography and that being rare?
I think for basically the booth that we had for sure was that space, and it was specifically chosen and we were selected with this work because of the India-Africa conversation and the ideas of like what came into Zambia through these Indian migrants, right? And so the extra work that I mentioned about was because there's a corridor that leads to the end of leads to our booth, and what they had told me is that usually people put work up here. So I said, would I be able to pitch for any work leading up to our booth to put up on these walls? And they said, yes, sure. And I had pitched Bakalinosi's work in conversation with Bachikwa's work, specifically his crayon, like the color, the abstraction work. But then it didn't go ahead in the end. And I think they just didn't select anybody in it because there was no work there. So it was kind of like an extra opportunity, because they usually, I think, do put work on those corridors, but this year, I think they put signage for gallery spaces there. So that's what I meant. It was one of those things. So in terms of what they selected, it was I mean, I would have liked to have, I would have probably done it in a different way if it wasn't specifically wanting to look at the India-Zambia conversation. But, you know, considering the timing, and this is also my personal research, and also about Alick's work, I think is really important to ensure it happens. You know, he just turned 78 in December, so I really wanted to make it happen for that timing. But yeah, I think, does that answer your question? Yeah.
Perhaps you can have last three. Yeah, Mr. Miko.
Sana, I'd like to congratulate you for this opening up those of the international art scene. And for the purpose of the audience, I've known Sana since she was 8 years old. So I call her an intellectual gangster. And I think when I looked at the outcomes of this project that you undertook, the presence of the High Commissioner coming to see the document is one of the achievements. In fact, in terms of intervention with government, that is very, very, very important. So I like making that is one of the most important outcomes, because that's how you sensitize government. You know, sometimes we don't get things from government because we expect that they know what we need, or they know what they should know, but they don't. I can assure you that. It's projects like this that once you put them in their face, then they realize that they've been spending money, resources, and time on things that don't take the country anywhere. This takes the country somewhere, because just look at the triangular sensitization of this. You are Muslim, Indian, Zambian, born in UTH here, and then you go to take this show. First of all, you locate this gallery here in a very historic, important building. It's one of the first buildings on this Lusaka land. You know, Cecil Road is connected to this building, and the kind of history it has had is coming out of this archival material. And I know that in London, a lot of Indians are Indians who lived in Zambia, and they went there, and that sort of connectivity. In fact, when I come to think about marketing such participation internationally, there are people who can throw in money because they want to see themselves into this. And I like the way, our great man, Alick Phiri, sits in this. He gets trained in photography. He goes to establish a studio in Kanyama. Maybe next time we should be meeting like this in Kanyama and taking out so that even in that environment can see what they have been seeking. Just like every day Lusaka sits here now. We are very, very lucky. We are supposed to be behind the counter of a shop, giving people change and stuff like that. But we have radically chosen to be able to bring out the history of Zambia, the history of the Indian connection to Zambia. Now you are connecting it to the world. We are very proud of you in this thing, and especially that. What is called international. You can be international anywhere. I mean, just look at the people who are seated here. I think they are not all Zambian. They are coming from anywhere else. So this is a Lusaka 154 talk that we are witnessing here. And I think I'm very proud of this kind of personal. And you should push and push. Take frustrations as encouragement. You are really addressing a conspicuous absence, and that is participation of Zambian creative sector on the international art scene. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we shut it down at 16 hours, 4 o'clock.
Can I do talk?
Yes, please.
I just struck flies how important it is now. You were the cover that we do, water, what happens as the regular place, individualism with Zambian South historically, but also international connection. People move, especially in the last 100 years, so we're all immigrants, we're all this and that, and we're brought in such a tie that in with that sentiment. I think it's really important that we are talking about all these connections with the power context. There are also so many races I have found in the I think things are like forgetting, so like that, setting, of all those connections in the story and social numbers of the
questions, please. Yes, sir.
It's like a question. The witnesses are coming.
Please, you're welcome.
And so, my name is John Chinyo.
Sorry?
My name is John Chinyo. Yeah, and for 14 and a half years, I was the chief tourism in the basis. With us, and see, tourism investing now is what already too. One of those aspects is the creative industries, but then it is sense back. Because of funding, in most cases, can say like thousands. And the simple talk about great Germany doing that other than to truly just film as the unity of vision as tourists. And we're connecting with the German man there who does that, or we did that because that footage passed away before we finished. I get mad and say, what I'm saying is the internet. What you're ending with we lack those networks and connections. So we start developing things, and in many cases at Zambia, we find ourselves left behind depending by the people who saw us anti-it. So that kind of connection, even with the government, I've been in the years, and one of them is to, at that time, foreign affairs and tourism. Here, so we are able to connect, to make the connections. I know what to start a connection, but we haven't blessed children to these roads now. In that direction. So we need to do that because we don't have a culture of attaché in foreign missions. We fought for that, but they said we can't afford it. So what we have instead is tourism and update.
Thanks. Remember, I asked about this earlier, right? So do we have these in all our embassies?
Not all. We identify the ones where we are able to afford as a country, and also where in how we have so much, where we can raise an interest, so that country is forensic aspect. Of course, the one in Germany, the one in France, the one in UK. So, no, it's not all, but at least quite a number is curated. That's where we get to the connection. So the tourism pictures. And the culture has right to it. But that's not what it is.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that was a very important contribution. Thanks for sharing.
What is that? Cash.
Augustine.
Basically, something to so this music that been done of that in the past of the different statues that you mentioned related to the culture. Is it research back, or is it just presenting things that we see at the museum? Word. With internet, with research and how the exhibition is the belongings and is backed with research, or is it something that just presents our state activity that presents Africa as the stereotype research? friend or it was okay. Generations are gonna talk about himself. But part of the job that's being there, which is tourism development, and this also the tourism program thing. So it's under that. And we're working with Jamaica, South to South Corporation. So that was there and then. Unfortunately, I always spearheaded us about 3 years ago. That's it. That's right. The Parliament instrumental is there, but the rest of us are still there. The only problem is probably the ministry has gotten a ministry. I retired 3 years ago. So it doesn't no fully white transition. So to answer your question, yes, it's not only that product, we talk about mind tourism, we're talking about eco-tourism, all sorts of tourism. But yes, we said like this because thinking as I said, the Japanese were helping. Okay? See. But what we need to do is take the development forward. Fortunately, we're trained by the Chinese. They were training for African English-speaking countries. So, in culture of tourism. Okay, so I'm actually the president of schools, Africa Cultural Tourism and Artists and Reader. So,
Alliance, you said? Is it Alliance?
Yes. So, what we need to do is dig out that search information, put it, package it, put the network together for that. Okay? And then let's start answering this. There's no way that to be.
Yes, but you see, I think it's. You said you don't want to speak about yourself, but look, that comment in itself, it enriches, the broader conversation. Because obviously it's about 154, but then we wouldn't have known what you've just shared with us. I mean, if you didn't come here, for instance. So thank you very much. I can take two more before we close. Questions, comments, critiques, congratulations.
About nothing.
Going.
Please. I just wanted to hear more about Alick about okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So we'll have you, and then. So what was your question for you?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear more about Alick, about how you felt having your work go on short 154. And the best is.
Big. Still really rough from being media. It was a bit difficult for me, but I started working for Photo Art Center in 1965, but not at the studio. I was working at his house. Now the boss there, he saw my work, how I was doing it at the house. Then he said, no, we'll teach you something. And also I used like these guitars, whatever. But Mr. Patel said, no, it's not your line to play music. So I'll teach you something better than that. So, and for sure, he taught me how to take photographs, how to develop and everything. Then from that time, I started putting up my small job. And Mr. Patel thought maybe if when I put my studio, I'll leave work there. I said, no, I'm not going to leave. I'll be doing this during the weekend only. But this is my main job you have taught me. So from that time, wow.
So you were working there, that was 5 days in a week. That's Monday to Friday.
Friday,
and
yeah.
Weekend
With Saturday, half day. Then half day I used to work at my studio. At your studio. And Sunday also there. Yeah.
Let's hear a bit more about your studio. Actually, is there an actual dark room, or was there an actual dark room?
Yes, the dark room was there. Even equipment for my dark room, I still have them at the house.
Yeah. Right there in the heart of Kanyam.
Yes.
I think this is very response of this suggestion, especially what we are playing our artists that existed so who we don't even think they existed before. So the next adoption is was starting as a studio. So that. And he smells what he smells. We see what he sees. And even the people there, I'm sure, don't know that they have such a spotted international photographer within the locality. So this aspect is very, very extreme. And I think if I take advantage of this audience also, at Petro First we are showing any dialect. This in the artwork next month. So you look forward to that. It's also about exhuming the artists that people might have read before, or people might have forgotten, or might have not read before, to the current lives that are living today. And maybe as a gallery here, I hope that everyone here will be willing to leave you their contacts, because I think being a certain people have so much to do, and if they are going to leave everything they plan to go to this stuff, that attaches the importance that we shouldn't take them on the radar. What's so happening? Yes.
We do have a guest
visitors book.
Yes, visitors book. So please do not forget to sign if you want to be contacted. Leave your details. Don't forget to have a look at the catalog as well. I'll put it right there. Uncle Alick's book is there as well. Also, if you haven't been round the gallery itself, take some time to look at it. And also the biographies, the full bios are right there under the Kodak sign. Yeah, so they are quite detailed. You saw how I belabored earlier on. So you can just take a photo and just read later on. That said, I will like to thank all of you for coming. I think you've been a wonderful audience, asking the right questions, the ones that I forgot to ask actually. And you took your Saturday off to come here and support Salah, Anba Alick, and also Mulenga. Yes, so I think that should be it. Sana?
Yeah, if you wanna keep supporting the gallery, we have our little shelf with different products from different artists, so please have a look so we can afford to go to Cape Town next month.
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.